Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that's honestly a real game changer if you're looking to step up your aquaculture game. Cultivating the giant freshwater prawn, or Meckerbrachium rosenbergi, if we're being technical. Whether you're an agricultural entrepreneur or just a focused learner, you are in exactly the right place. We've distilled a massive technical manual right down to its absolute core. So let's just jump right in. So let me ask you this right off the bat. What's the secret to tapping into the incredibly high-demand prawn market, especially in regions like Cambodia, where these guys are absolutely prized along the Mekong River? Now, prawn farming can be seriously lucrative, like transform your family's income lucrative, but it's really not as simple as just throwing some hatchlings into a muddy pool. It requires precision. It takes discipline. Okay, let's dive into this. According to the source manual, the entire foundation of your success rests on three totally non-negotiable building blocks. We're talking pond preparation, optimal feeding, and water quality management. Master these three pillars, and you're setting yourself up for an incredible harvest. But miss even one? Yeah, you might be facing a disaster. Here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll cover the prawn opportunity, Pillar 1, pond preparation, Pillar 2, optimal feeding, Pillar 3, water quality, and finally, my absolute favorite, reaping the rewards. Starting with Section 1, the prawn opportunity. Simply put, demand for these prawns consistently outpaces supply. For a dedicated farmer, this is a highly scalable business model that can seriously boost your income. Moving right along to Section 2, Pillar 1, pond preparation, because a pristine environment is the absolute #1 prerequisite for healthy prawns. Now, getting the pond ready does involve some serious physical labor, but trust me, it is non-negotiable. First up, you have to clear out any predators, snakehead fish, frogs, crabs, you name it, and then desilt the bottom, leaving just about 10 to 15 centimeters of mud. Step 2 is absolutely crucial. You have to let the pond sun-dry for 2 to 7 days. Why? Well, baking it in the sun actually burns off naturally occurring toxic gases like hydrogen sulfide and methane, and yeah, neither you nor your prawns want to smell that. After that, you'll apply lime to balance out the pH, throw in some animal manure to spark natural food growth, and finally, when you pump the water back in, you literally must filter it through a super fine 0.5 millimeter mesh so those wild predators don't sneak right back in. And this brilliantly illustrates what that physical prep actually looks like out in the real world. You go from raw, muddy terrain being cleared and pumped out to fully structured, deeply reinforced, predator-free ponds just baking in the sun, waiting to be filled. Notice how solid those embankments are. They have to be strong enough to hold water at a depth of 1.2 to 1.5 meters without leaking a single drop. Next up is Section 3, Pillar 2, optimal feeding. Providing the right nutrients without polluting the water is a very delicate balancing act. Here, farmers have an interesting choice to make. You can go with fresh feed, think chopped up small fish, crabs, or snails. It's cheap, especially during the rainy season, and the prawns absolutely love it. But beware, fresh feed rots incredibly fast and can easily pollute your whole pond. On the flip side, formulated pellet feed offers super stable nutrition and doesn't spoil nearly as fast, even though it costs a little more upfront. Now, the manual gives a very stern warning here. Slightly underfeeding your prawns is actually way better than overfeeding them. Any leftover food just turns into a toxic sludge at the bottom. If you do decide to go the formulated route and make your own feed, you'd use a preparation machine to mix ingredients like soybean meal, rice bran, and fish meal. The goal is to hit the golden ratios: 30 to 35% protein for rapid muscle growth and 2 to 3% calcium. That calcium isn't optional, by the way. Prawns strictly need it so they can successfully shed their old shells and keep growing. The feeding routine itself, it's basically an exact science. You feed them twice a day, on the dot. At 5 a.m., you give them 30% of their daily food. Then, at 5 p.m., you give them the remaining 70%. But here's the kicker. You don't just chuck the food into the water. You place it in 1 square meter feeding trays, suspended about 10 centimeters above the pond bottom. And this is the genius part. You check these trays exactly 1 hour after feeding. If the tray is empty, hey, they're hungry and you can slightly increase the next meal. But if there's food left, you have to dial back the next portion to stop that excess from rotting. Okay, moving to Section 4, Pillar 3, water quality. This is the most data-heavy pillar, and honestly, bad water can wipe out your entire crop, literally overnight. You might actually want to take a screenshot here. Maintaining these specific environmental metrics is exactly what keeps your prawns alive and thriving. Your temperature should sit nice and warm, between 26 and 30 degrees Celsius. The pH needs to be a neutral 7 to 8. Now, oxygen is massively important. Prawns demand highly oxygenated water, so you want greater than 5 milligrams per liter. If it drops below 2, that is fatal. They will literally gasp at the surface and die. Finally, water hardness should hover between 50 and 100 milligrams per liter to help out with their shell development. But, you don't always need a fancy laboratory to check your water. The source manual gives us some fantastic visual cues. Ideal pond water will have a light green color, that's thanks to healthy phytoplankton, and you should be able to see down about 25 to 40 centimeters into the water. If the water is totally crystal clear, you actually need to add fertilizer to trigger plankton growth. But if it's murky, brown, or really dark green, your water's dirty. You need to act fast. Pump out 10 to 20% of the water from the bottom and replace it with fresh water immediately. And finally, Section 5. Reaping the rewards, because after a 4 to 5 month cultivation cycle, it is time for the best part of the job. Harvesting is definitely a major team effort. Farmers execute a harvest by draining about half of the pond water and then coordinating to drag a large net from one side to the other. You usually do this 3 to 4 times. You can actually do what's called a partial harvest first, catching just the big guys and leaving the smaller ones to grow for a few more weeks. Or you can go all in with a total harvest, drain the whole pond, and collect every last one. So, the crucial point is this. Look at that stunning yield. This bountiful catch of high-quality prawns, typically weighing in at a very hefty 30 to 50 grams apiece, is the direct, predictable result of following the methodology. These are pristine, market-ready giant freshwater prawns, and they absolutely command top dollar. I think this quote perfectly summarizes everything we've covered in this explainer. In aquaculture, success is never an accident. It is the direct result of mastering pond preparation, precise feeding, and rigorous water quality management. Technical discipline directly translates to financial success, guys. There are absolutely no shortcuts, but as you can see, the path itself is incredibly clear. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, right from the chemistry of the water all the way to the engineering of the pond itself. So I'll leave you with this one thought. Now that you know the 3 foundational pillars and you've seen the incredible payoff that awaits at the end of a 5-month cycle, are you ready to dig your first pond and completely transform your income? The opportunity is quite literally waiting just beneath the surface. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy farming!